Hello and welcome to another episode of Butler's Speed Shop, where again we'll be working on my 1970-something Triumph GT6. Those of you who've watched the previous video will probably notice a difference. We've got a full roof. Off camera, we welded all that up. The Oracle, otherwise known as my dad, is now starting the bodywork on that because I can't stand the bodywork, mainly because of this stuff. We've got a bit more welding to do, but I'm not going to bother filming that because I've filmed enough welding now anyway, and there's plenty of channels already doing it. Today, hence the title, we'll be working on the Abandoned engine. Now, those of you who are new to the channel again, that is a Mazda MX5 engine, came with it. It's Mazda MX5 gearbox, came with it. I don't know the condition really, apart from one spark plug we pulled out and it was rusty. And so I think it had been standing for a while with that not particularly very tight. Now I've put a bore scope down there, checked it, tightened up a new spark plug, put them all back in basically, and she's got compression. So I know that's all right. We know the cam belt's okay then. What state the cam belt's in, who knows? But at least we should know if it knocks or anything like that. If it does, that's fine. We've either got a spare bottom end, which was supposed to be for the GT. If not, then I can pick up another engine. So that is a 1.8 MX5 engine. And obviously, to get these going, you require a harness. That is a Mazda MX5 1.6, was a full harness. I've put it in the office and I've took a couple of days to cut everything back, take out anything like the headlamps, tail lights, any of the auxiliary stuff like cigarette lighter, dash lights, blah, 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 blah. So it's nearly the bare bones. There is a lot more in there than is required, but near enough the bare bones to run one of these. The difference being that's a 1.8, that's a 1.6 loom. Now, they're both from early vehicles, but that might have been the reason why this project was abandoned, because of they didn't understand the wiring, or there's something wrong with that wiring. I don't know. I mean, I've Conti tested everything, and it does seem to be all right. One thing to help us on our way, though, is instead of using the stock ECU, because these require ECUs to run because they're modern-ish, we've got my old ME221 Gen 1 ECU. Now, this is actually broken, but it will allow everything to power up. It will allow things to run to a point. It should run odd-legged. There's something wrong with this. I don't know what. I wasn't prepared to muck about. We might be able to find out what's wrong with it and get it fully going. But if we can get that to turn over, everything to power up and run, like I said, odd-legged, then we can at least buy a new one of these. The added advantage of putting one of those in is you can use all the sensors, because originally these have no OBD. They've got a diagnostic box, which you plug a 1K resistor in and an LED. People who are older to the channel, you'll notice I did that years ago. If you look through the back catalogue on the MGB GT when we did the conversion, I tried it all, and yeah, all it will do is flash, and it'll tell you whether there's something on the lambda sensor, for example. So we're on with that today as well. So that's going to help us out a lot, because at least we can read the sensors. The loom itself, I'm keeping things like the fuel pump relay. So there's only one wire to the fuel pump plus a ground, so essentially two wires, but just the one wire to feed. We've got IAT sensor instead of running the AFM or MAF. That harness would have used an AFM. I've got spare MAFs, but we can just use an IAT sensor, intake temperature sensor. Also, I'm not going to do it because I've done it on that. You could run a turbo or anything like that with the ECU. We could run throttle bodies on it. I don't know. I prefer to keep it as stock for now, see how it is, and then maybe we make it go a bit quicker. But I don't think we'll go forced induction. I think we'll probably, if we're going to do it, because I've already done it on the GT, we'll go throttle bodies or something, bike carbs. I don't know. Who knows? So let's see whether this abandoned engine will run. First, we need to move everything out of the workshop. So then, guys, put the loom out on the floor. There is a few things I've noticed that need to be addressed. So that's all of the ECU side. This will need shortening down considerably, I think, because the idea is keeping the battery in the front where it would usually go. So you don't need 45 meters worth of battery cable. Also, things like the diagnostic box, not generally required anymore. So once it's going, we'll snip that out. I have found a couple of the connectors aren't the same. So I believe that's the alternator plug. Main one being the TPS, because this is a 1.6 loom. So off camera, a couple of days ago, I ordered a new TPS connector, so we need to harness that one, connect that one back up to the harness. This is all the ignition stuff. But one thing I did notice was over here somewhere. Where are we? That's battery. Small battery, TPS. Here we go. So, obviously being a 1.6, it's got the 1.6 coil pack ignition or igniter pack connector. Then also on the back of the coil pack, which would have been hung off the back of the rocker cover, would be this one. Now, we don't require that because, courtesy of our sponsor and the company I used to work at, a coil and plug kit. So I think that's a K20 coil and plug kit. So the link in description below. These guys at GFB Developments are sponsoring us on this video. You probably know that quite a lot of our stuff was all GFB Developments one time. But yes, so that's been sponsored, the vehicle is. So we can get rid of that one as well. And because of that, on the engine, this being a 1.8, the injector harness has connections for the two coil pack, or the one coil pack, so that would be different as well. So we can take all that out and snip it. To be fair, it all goes to that connector anyway, and I believe that one wire is just ground, so that can just be snipped out. Everything else will stay. So let me rig the camera up and we'll start making changes to the harness, and then we can plug it all in and give it a go. So just off camera, what I've done is trim down these, so all we've got is, I believe, a ground and water temperature sensor, which will obviously go in the back of the box there. Still got connected for the injection system. What I need to do now is power up the loom with the sensors on the car, and let's just see whether we're getting any contact to the ECU. Most of these, the fuse box is fully out. We have got a couple of rewired connectors. If I take that up, mainly, which is the engine 15 amp fuse, which is power to some of the sensors, including the metering unit, which we're not using anymore, but we've got a sensor on the other end, which is the IET sensor. So I've got to tidy all this up still, but obviously I've made changes and I want to make sure everything is still going to be okay. In theory, we should get all the sensors live. The only one, which I don't think the ECU will tell us, is the idle air control valve, because that connector looks like it's different to that one. To me, that's not big enough. What's that one? Yeah, I don't think that's the right one. So we might have to readdress that, but idle air control valve shouldn't stop it from running, really. It won't let it idle, I don't think, but we'll be able to get around that. I've taken the plugs out as well. So in theory, liven up the loom, connect the ECU up, make sure it's reading everything, and then we just sort of rig a fuel system up, make sure it can trigger the fuel pump, and then we can give it a little bit of juice, I think. So, the ECU connected. This wire being the trigger for the starter. And if we just connect those, full sync. That's good. That means it should be firing the injectors. I'm also hearing the fuel pump relay click, so that's another good thing. If I disconnect it, should just click off and on. Can I get that one off? I can't with one hand. One thing we're not getting is any TPS, so I presume, so TPS calibration, if I open the throttle, we're not getting anything. So I'm fairly sure that's why the wrong way around. Good job I didn't get it up and tape it. So let's rewire that now. Okay, so some of this was me being silly and not checking where we are on the pins on that to the difference of the wiring. So as I said before, this wiring is a 1.6, the engine is a 1.8, so the pin changes are different, or the pin outs are slightly different, but we've got that sorted. So that's another one done. We can try the coils next, and we're near enough ready to start hooking up a flipping fuel system. So chassis pulled forward away from the body, so I'm in the sunshine. What we're going to do now, we sort the TPS, just move the wiring out of the way just while I put spark plugs and everything in and take off some of the old, there was like mounts and stuff, to call them off, but we'll chuck these old spark plugs in, and the plan is hopefully it kicks off. Just shove some brake clean down it, hopefully it kicks off. Right, about ready to reconnect it up. Just moved a few grounds and things, and then we're about ready to connect it. Some of the odd legged might be because of the coils. Battery's going flat again, but well, that puts that to bed, don't it? So it's the next day. I'm pretty much, just from that kicking over as it is, happy that there's no nasties really. Obviously I won't know if the head gasket's gone, but there wouldn't be any radiator connected to it anyway for that test. The only other thing is, if you remember, that ECU is actually broken. It won't make the engine run correctly. So, but I'm happy that that can come off the chassis, be all painted and cleaned up and whatnot, and then if there's any other issues we can address them later on. But it's got good compression and everything else, so I think that one will be all right. In the meantime, what I have done is started tacking together the exhaust, and what I needed to do is get the body on so I can figure out where the back box is going to go. So as you can see, the tail just comes out here. Now most of it is tight. It's not too bad. It's going to need another mount putting just here, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to be fouling anything by putting the mount on. So I need to lower the body down, get it aligned, then we'll have a look from the back and I'll show you the back box I've got. Right, I have to apologise for the way this is being filmed, but this old Cherry Pro Bomb thing, and that will go there. We'll probably just scallop out this a little bit and then give it a tip upwards like that. I will need to, as I said before, address that pipe because it needs lifting up, and then we'll put the other mount underneath. But that's the way I'm thinking. It should look pretty cool, and if I try and raise that up a bit so it's not as low, I mean, there's no reason why we couldn't scallop out this. I mean, I've put a new panel in the back, oval it out, but I suppose with that lifted up a bit is going to help anyway, unless we see where we can get a smaller back box, or we put it like an old Baja and have it sideways. I don't know. I think something like that will do, I reckon. Short of taking it through the boot, there's not really much else I can do. I can weld up the rest of the exhaust anyway. So, tub's lowered. I'm pretty much into position. Oh wow, yeah, got a load of room. So we're going to have to put another hanger on there. And then let's just bring it straight. Let's get the back box and see, because it's got quite a long one anyway. And just see if that is actually, probably needs to just come up a bit. But I can use that with the, do that with a mount. So I'll order a mount. I generally use Morris Oxford exhaust mounts, which actually are MGB-GT gearbox mounts, because they're quite small, but they're about so big. 2 holes, piece of flat bar welded to the exhaust, and it's nice rubber and everything, so they tend to last as well. About 9-10 years on the ones on the MGB. So right, let's get the back box. So that's the current system. So I need to just basically start welding it all up. And that's another job done. But while I weld it all up, because the V-clamps or the V-bands aren't done, we'll bolt it back together to stop those from warping. And that's another job done. If I need to make it a bit quieter, there's enough room there to replace that with a glass pack. Hopefully we don't need to. Right, so I've welded up all the exhaust. Needs some of the welds grinding down, but you can now see the root of it down underneath. And the idea is eventually, I think I'll put a Y piece there and have 2 coming out, but for now, for speed, the exhaust was originally gone straight down the middle, because it would have gone down at the front of the engine, or sort of where that trunnion mount or support is. So you've gone down that way, but obviously this is not the original engine. So that's that sorted. I think the last job for today will be to remove the inlet manifold, because obviously we'll sort for the new alternator, but for painting the engine and everything, that needs to really come off. So we'll get that off and clean it all up. And I think that'll be it for today. As this episode clearly isn't just on the engine, because that didn't take very long, did it, to make it fire, we might as well tackle another job. And that has just turned up. So this is a very small radiator. It's a kit car one, apparently. Reason I went for this one and not the Civic type is because I didn't want to cut the chassis rails. When I measured, we'd have to cut the chassis, and I don't want to do any of that. This will easily fit in between, and it should be easy to mount. We'll have to put some good fans on it, and I'm going to mount the radiator further forward to basically increase the water supply. I think we should get it onto the car, well, at least offer it up. Now you're going to have to forgive when I do this at the moment, because I'm just waiting on filler to dry on my new GT6 bonnet. Well, new to me anyway. And what we'll do is we'll get that out of the way once the filler's kind of dried, and then we'll start on the radiator. As you can see, we have a lot of room. It has loads of room. So the idea is probably around about there-ish. Got loads of room up top anyway. So now we can actually have smaller things. Smaller hose. find out if this is enough radiator, aren't we? Right, so what I've done, just propped it. I feel like deja vu, because a few years ago, myself and Gregor did similar with my turbocharged MX5 based MGB GT. So yeah, feels like retreading similar ground. So I'm thinking that's about where it probably should be, obviously straight like that. And in theory, a long 90 should give us enough to get into that. In actual fact, I bet if we use this section, cut it there, that would probably fit. I suppose what we should do before we do anything is just chuck that bonnet on, just to make sure it will actually fit. So with the bonnet on, there's loads of room. Yeah. So I was right. We can get a long 90. That'll be all right. And what I will have to do, it'll have to be reducing 90, because I've just noticed those outlets are a couple of mil smaller. Should be good to go. The flat strap. There's already a hole there, so that's going to make things easier. There. And there. And we'll have to make another one of those for that side. Might as well make it look uniform. Just use some more of this. And I will beautify the bracket a bit. But that's just a simple piece of flat strap made into a 90. But it's put it in the correct place. And it keeps the top free for me to make a ducting, which I believe we've got some off-cut stainless. We might have a few sheets of 1mm stainless we can make into a nice bit of ducting for it. So just as I was making that piece there, I was just grinding the welds, because grinder and paint makes me the welder I ain't. I had some filler, hence why there's a bit more filler dust. And it looks like this outrigger was replaced and it was just caked in filler there. I don't understand why. So I've ground the welds back, and they're not that bad. I mean, I might just zip over them, but it doesn't mean I'm going to have to check that one, because the whole bonnet hangs off the front of this, and the last thing I want to do is have that fall off. So I'm actually going to check that. I'm going to check the outriggers as well, which I didn't realise, but anyway, that's the reason why the engine's coming off the chassis. So, but we'll get onto that in another video. So, radiator's level. So what I need to do, we'll just do the same thing, and then I can beautify it afterwards when we come to put it all back together. So that's the last thing, and I think we'll wrap up this video. So, it's mounted. Obviously I need to beautify it a bit to make them look a bit better. But either way, that's yeah, like a chin up that be. It's at least sorting the problem, which is slightly on the piss, dropping down, but I think it's because I haven't tightened up that side anyway, the left hand side, or I haven't tightened up the right hand side, sorry. So that's about it for the radiator. So I think then, guys, I'll wrap up this video here. I know obviously it's been a bit of a mishmash of things, only because in actual fact the engine kind of started and didn't make any knocking noises. So I'm actually happy that's the reason why it's a bit of a mishmash. But in the next video, we'll obviously be starting on the mechanics of the chassis, because I need to refresh everything, or at least check things over. So I'll see you in the next one.